Hey everyone, let's have a quick chat about The Heart of Stone by Galley. This is a perfect example how a star rating doesn't really tell you anything about the book and that a review is very, very personal. So, why do I say this? Because if you follow me on Goodreads, you know that I gave 2 stars to this book. But don't run away yet. Listen to the end of this review. You might like this book. This is just a very personal and subjective rating that comes along with what I like in a book. And also that I went into this book with false expectations. I got this book, I don't remember why, but for some reason I thought there was a romantic subplot. And there isn't. This is high fantasy. It deals with war, friendship, and betrayal. It has an interesting story, but there are a lot of things about it that I personally dislike. The worst of all is the writing, which I might admit is very typical for fantasy writing, but not a typical way of fantasy writing that I like. The style was very adjective laden and the sentences were interwoven in a way that just didn't make it read easy to me. It took me a very long time to really get into the reading and I often thought about DNFing it. So why didn't I DNF it? Because I was on vacation and I wanted to know what happened. So the story kept me going on. Goodreads will all tell you that I read it in 4 days, and I think that's what saved the book. That I could read chunks at a time and really could invest in reading it. Because that way I stayed connected to the story, which sort of intrigued me, and the characters were nice, even though it is more high fantasy, serious fantasy than I like to read. And also, I was missing my romantic subplot. That was just not there. So there you can already see, those are things that I had trouble with. I also want to mention that towards the end, since this is a very big book, it's 400 plus pages, that something that I have seen reading quite a few ebooks, that the second half gets less editing attention. So it's not bad in a way that it's disturbing, but adding to the already disturbing many adjectives in this book, I just noticed it. So these are definitely things that made me put the rating down. Another thing is another pet peeve of mine, which is in fantasy, that people have to rename everything, but use like sayings and expressions as if they used the normal word. For example, dogs in this book. He gave them a new word, gave them a little bit of a different design, but he kept basically comparing them and using them like dogs in the way he talked about them and with sayings and idioms. And it's annoying. If you write a book in English and you have all the English, why do you have to rename everything and reinvent everything? I don't think that's necessary and adding to the book. Also, there were other namings that kind of confused me. I wasn't always sure what is what because a lot of things either had the same name or he used the words in different contexts as well, which I think is not good. But that's just another personal pet peeve of mine in fantasy, which I don't like. So it doesn't really matter how good the story is, so things will always annoy me. And like I said, the story isn't bad. It's about a golem who gets sold into servitude, or slavery rather, and then has to obey his master, which usually means he has to kill all the enemies. And this time he's sold to a very cruel master, and there's been a civil war going on for 9 years. And we see how he gets to know the fellow characters and how he thinks, and a lot of that. And there's also some epic betrayal in there, a character which is dubious and really makes you cringe that such evil people can exist. So all of that is good. But yeah, I couldn't overlook the writing. That's why it has such a bad rating. Overall, I don't want to discourage you from picking up this book. If you like high fantasy and this is a standalone and you like war stories and epic stories about battles and friendships and betrayal, this is the book for you. If you can overlook the writing problems that I had, then you might actually like this very much. Okay, let me know what you think. Are you interested in the book? Have you heard of it? Have you read it? What do you think about writing? Is that such a big deal for you as well? Let's talk about the book. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.